This video is to go over the Reports and Tools section of the Budget and Bills spreadsheet. So we have a couple of reports here where we can compare month to month to see what might be different, especially if you're troubleshooting what changed between months. And we have bill reports, which gives you information about what you spent in a particular time frame, as well as gives you visuals to see how balanced you were. And then a debt snowball tracker to give you some options as to figure out how you can best pay off your debts. So let's start by going to the Compare Months tool here. And it's a very simple tool. It's basically asking you for a start date for the first one to compare. I typically pick the first of a month, and the first of the next month is here. So this tells you here, first the colors are telling you where you were in balance. So as we set here in bill settings, greater than 4,000 is green, less than 1,000 is red, and everything else is orange. And this tells you here that where you were visually in that range. You can see that December was clearly better than November. But then you can kind of look day by day, the day of the month and what came out. So I can see that my salary here came out on the first here. It came out on the 7th here. I'm sorry, it came out on the 3rd here, and that's just based on when I said I deposited it, because that was a manual deposit. So if I go back and look here, since this is not an automatic deposit, I said I deposited it on the 3rd of the month, versus this month where I basically, it's defaulting to the plan date. Unless you actually add a deposit date, it's going to give you this date here. But if you overrode it here, that's what it would be. But that's why that's different. So it's basically giving you a transaction by transaction summary of what happened on that day. A lot of times things will always happen in the same time frame. Sometimes they don't, and that gives you an easy way to compare month to month. Bill reports is similar. You choose a starting point and an ending point. Let's just go to the end of December, because we have all those transactions. This tells you your total income versus your spend and your balance. So you're doing very well if your balance is positive. Even gives a little congrats. It includes all the transactions in this period right here, in case you wanted to look at them individually. You can look at individual transactions to see change over time. So for example, I think it's electricity, it changes month to month. If you wanted to see the trend for a particular transaction, it'll show you. Gives you your top 20 things. So if you're looking to cut down your spending and you're trying to figure out what are you spending the most on, this will give you the top 20 things. And some things are non-negotiable, like rent, but you might have something in there that you've been spending a bunch on that you decide maybe I need to cut back on that. There's a visual representation of this. So one is rent, and that's obviously the biggest, and then it kind of goes smaller and smaller. So if you're looking for a visual representation of these top 20 things, this is the easy way to kind of pick those off. And then of course here's the running balance of where you are in your journey of balance. These little bars are the net balance for that particular day. So this day we had a pretty big spending day. This one we had a pretty big day because we deposited a check. But this is the net. So if you deposited a check and had expenses, this bar would be lower. And then this gray line here represents your cumulative balance for that account over time. So you can kind of see when it's gone up, gone down, and just a basically running balance for that account. Next we have the debt snowball. And I've plugged in some numbers here just to make it a little quicker and give you an idea of how this works. Everything down here is automatic. You don't have to plug anything in. It's basically inputting your loan information, the balance as of when you want to start looking at this, and this balance will change over time. If you do an assessment today and then you do it again in 6 months, you would change this balance to the balance in 6 months. The rate for this loan, the payment for this loan, when you want to start, and this is really whatever this starting date is, that's what this should be, unless this is something that's not going to start for a couple months. So if this weren't to start until January, these are gonna, nothing's going to accumulate until the start of that loan. And then it tells you maturity date. This is the calculated date as to when it'll be paid off based on how you have things set up here. So here's the payoff priority. And right now I have it set to 1. Actually, I should have a 2 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is, I want to pay off this one first, this one second, third, and fourth. You can change these to see how it impacts the outcome. So right now, with this setup 1, 2, 3, and 4, you should be out of debt with these 4 loans by January 2031, which is 5 years and 2 months from now. If you were to change this around to say, I want to pay this one off first and this one off last, that didn't actually change anything. So a lot of times it doesn't change a lot. What will change is the method in which you snowball the money. So right now this is using the sum of all payments. So this is what I pay each month for each of these things. It adds up to $1,550. What this says is, as one of these gets paid off, you're going to use the additional money from that paid off to apply to the next one in line. So right now the method is using the sum of all those payments. You can also use a custom amount. So you want to say, I want to really throw money at this, I want to throw money at paying off my debt. So instead of using the sum of all those, I'm going to throw an additional $450 in per month. So my custom amount is $2,000. And you notice that that extra $450 is being applied to loan 1 first. If I scroll down here, once that gets paid off, haven't quite made it yet. Actually, some of these are getting paid off before you even get there. So let's change that, because that's the biggest loan, probably not the one you want to pay off first. Let's pay that one off first. So $450 gets paid in addition to that loan until it's paid off. And then it gets shifted to number 2, the designated number 2 loan. And so now that amount gets shifted and it pays this one off quicker. And then that entire amount goes to number 3. So you can see that snowball effect. And now you can see it's only 3 years and 10 months if you added another $450, and you're out of debt a whole lot sooner. So that gives you an idea of how to use this. You can change the priority. You can change the amount. I'm going to change this back to the sum. And so 5 years and 2 months versus 3 years and 10 months. It's a pretty big difference. So it gives you a way to play with how to pay off your debt in a easy to understand way. That concludes the tools and reports section of the Budget and Bills spreadsheet.